What's up, you guys? This is a day in the life of Big Jerm. We are here in Charlotte, North Carolina for the Queen City Classic. And so we're gonna go ahead and walk into my house, show you what a day in my life looks like. This is OTB Cribs. All right, welcome to my 3D print room. This is typically one of the first things I do in the morning after I have embraced my wife, who is up much earlier than I am. I then come up here to check on how things are going, and then I spend a lot of my day in here when I'm home, not on tour. So this home that we live in here is actually my wife's childhood home. And the room that we're standing in right now is her room. This is where Jules grew up from 13 on until she moved out. This was her room. And when we decided to buy this house from her mom, we were trying to look at a good place for us to have a craft room. And this place just felt right to me. And so anyways, I've turned this into basically my factory of crafting, whether that's making shirts, doing any sort of crafts at all, but obviously mostly focused on 3D printing. And you can see over here, we've got filament wall, we've got the MVP disc station. Surprise, surprise, there's no discs on it. There's no room for discs right now. It's just filament. We got filament over here. It's everywhere. And that way I have unlimited options for customization when it comes to the minis that I make. We got 4 printers currently running right now. We've got my newest one. This is my Bamboo H2C. This is my H2D. These two dogs, these are my workhorses. These things get most of the work done that I'm doing. Right here, we're doing these, the Big Jerm burgers. I'll give you an idea what those look like. Basically, you've heard of a Big Mac. Well, this is a Big Jerm burger. So we've got single layer of beef. We got the lettuce, the cheese, the ketchup, and the sesame seeds on top. And then on the other one, actually we have something else going, but here we've got the peanut butter and jelly on white breads. So I like to, and also the yellow is just banana slices. I think the whole mini fascination, it began early on. I'm a player who likes to mark every lie. And so for me, I recognized early on a fascination in collectible minis. Really mostly consisted of like old minis. Maybe it was like an Ed Hedrick mini. I've got an Ed Hedrick mini somewhere up here.
Like the Wall of Fame.
Yeah, okay, here we go. Here's my Ed Hedrick mini. And I actually have a couple of these. But I just thought stuff like this was really cool. This is a classic one right here. This is like super duper old school. But they used to print these and make these, and like PDJ members would get several of them and hand them out kind of like business cards. And I thought that was kind of neat. And then I started like finding other old minis, and then it just kind of became a hobby. The mini fascination just kind of came as something that I always wanted to mark my lie. Each shot was being marked by something that meant something a little bit more to me, and every single shot was being marked. That was part of my routine. So I guess the mini fascination began way before I ever even knew what 3D printing was. And then after I got a 3D printer, which was originally purchased because I wanted to make my own components for the board games that I was playing, I recognized, oh, I could just print a disc. So I made my own disc and designed my own disc and printed my own disc, and shortly thereafter threw it and smashed into a tree and broke into a million pieces. But like, I printed different discs. Actually, the very first one I ever printed, I took it to the course. This is a true story. I took it to the course to prototype it, and this is at Veterans Park. This is hole 4, and I jumped past hole 1, 2, and 3 because hole 4 is like a little downhill 190 footer or so, and it's just a more fun shot for me to throw. And so I wanted to test the flight to see if it worked, and I forehanded it, and it went straight, 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 and I'm like, that's going to go in the basket, and it did. Hole in one. The best part about this, Virgin flight goes in hole in one with a proto design that I'd made. the rim and the flight plate separated in the basket. So the disc was a one and done. I called the Hall of Fame like a month later and said, hey guys, I have a disc to submit to you, just kind of joking. And they were like, we can talk about this sometime down the line. But anyways, after I started designing discs, I realized I could just make something smaller for my mini purposes and make them catered to what I want. And I originally started designing them with the Big Jerm logo. And then shortly thereafter, I was kind of developing the Lionheart logo at that time. And when I finally came up with the Lionheart logo, which we see over here, this was actually made by somebody in Minnesota who, I can't even tell you how much I appreciate this. This is the first thing I see when I walk into this room every time. This is the most killer display ever. But when I designed the Lionheart logo and recognized that it was perfectly symmetrical, I realized that I could print through the middle of the Mini and it would be symmetrical on both sides. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. I made them for me at first. And then I recognized that there was potential to kind of customize them and make them interesting for my friends. And so I made some for friends. And then I recognized that there could have been some small potential for business in terms of like I can share something that I'm creating with other people and share the story about how each one of these reads Lionheart around the outside edge and how when you mark it with the logo upside down, you're pointing in the direction using your heart. And I thought that would be kind of a cool message for some people, I'm sure, because that's a message that kind of describes my journey into disc golf and my life and picking disc golf over and over and over again when financially it didn't really make much sense, but my heart kept leading me in this direction to kind of pursue my dream. And that led me here. And so like my minis kind of have that baked into it. And I figured maybe people would want to check that out for themselves. And it started small. I mean, I started initially making just 2-color minis. See if I have some like original. Yeah. So original stuff that I was making was kind of like this, you know, just very simple, pretty thin, 5.5 millimeters thick. And that was it, right? And then the next thing I knew, I wanted to start introducing, actually this is original OG. This is like super early. So this is TPU. So this is the material that can kind of squish. And you can't really read Lionheart even though it's indented around the edge. But this is what the original minis look like. Very simple 2-color stuff, sometimes just 1 color. And then next thing I know, I'm trying to incorporate a few patterns. So like when I went to New Zealand, I made these kiwi ones, and I made them with a little brown edge and with kiwi seeds. And I made like 10 of these to give to people in New Zealand as a gift for helping us on our journey and whatnot. I did the same thing with Japan. Actually, I originally did it with Japan. And then the idea for the Lego ones with removable decoration so you can kind of customize them with like actual sunken Lego compatible recesses. And this was just a lot of fun. Then the idea for a fidget spinner mini came and started prototyping designs with my buddy Mitch Dickens. And then we finally came up with what we use now. And it made too much sense. And this has kind of been my primary focus as of late. But I mean, you can see this is what I travel to each tournament with. This thing is filled and it's heavy. In fact, this is how I get my daily rips on, because I just lift my minis for about 45 to an hour, something like that. And that's not true, and that's why I'm going to be sore tomorrow. And now I'm doing stuff like this, which is I'm taking a mini. I can show you the process over here. I'm taking a mini and I'm printing it with a recess. You can kind of see how there's a 1 millimeter recession on this side. And I'm doing it on both sides. And then I have material cut out. This is just faux leather. Here, let's just choose this piece real quick. And that's a little too busy for my liking, but the idea is pretty obvious there. Here, let's try this one. This one's a zebra. I mean, that's crazy. Maybe that's too much. Maybe too much is going on. Maybe not enough's going on. I don't know. But yeah, So, you know, the main thing for me is having a creative outlet when I'm home is the most important thing for me. I've always described myself as a creative type. And to have an outlet is the best thing in the world for me. Are you familiar with the OTB egg?
Yes.
Okay, so the OTB egg, for those who don't know, OTB started taking the stickers off of discs that they were sending out, not just discs, everything. But they put a sticker on everything just for inventory purposes because they're a good business. And where do you put all these stickers? You put them in the trash can. Not at OTB, they don't. They have created this ongoing massive egg that is up to just an enormous size and weight. And so they just put the stickers on there every single time. And it's just this growing thing. Well, when I change colors with the filament here, what's going to happen is it's going to spew out some of the old filament here in a second. And then I'm going to load the color that I want. And when I load the color that I want, it's going to spew some of that out and try to purge out the old color.
Okay.
Well, when it purges the old color, it could just go here. I could collect it and throw it in the trash can. Or I could create my own OTB egg. And so this is a collection.
The purge ball.
The purge ball. So this thing just sits here.
Oh, it has its own spot.
It has its own spot so it doesn't roll. I think it's fun.
Hilarious.
I think it's fun. And I totally got the idea from OTB. So shout out to Danny, Aaron, and the rest of the crew. You guys are awesome.
Okay.
All right, so what we're going to do today is we are going to start a mini that is going to have a base color of either teal or purple. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do. But the edge, we can't see it because it's in, this is a filament dryer. You can see some of the other filaments in here. Oh yeah, you can see the filament here. This is what we're going to use. But this is a silk filament. Silk filament leaves a really lustrous shine and sheen on the outer exterior. Let's see if I have any of those. Yeah. So this is like a silver. Okay. So instead of having that matte texture, it's got a little bit more shine to it. All the filament here, this is all PLA silk. So what I'm choosing.
Gloss.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to be using that for the outer part of the mini, and then the inner components are going to be this what do they call this thing? Witchcraft purple and this teal. So purple and teal just look great together. This stuff right here absolutely explodes in the sun. It looks unbelievable. So we're going to choose these two colors for the main components of the mini, and the outer edge is going to be the rainbow silk filament. All right, so I've taken that out. This goes in, and then I just kind of manually feed this into the PTFE tube, and you can kind of see it coming through here. Getting closer, closer. Okay, so we go to the machine. Filament's been unloaded, new filament's been loaded, so then this goes in here, and we just wait a second. We kind of find a low spot on the ball, so that way we can keep it even all the way around. And here we go. And what I like to do is I just kind of press it down a little bit to make sure that it really melts into the next layer. We need to purge more. Let's get some more of that material on here. And you're just kind of looking at it and just seeing if all the previous color, which was black, is out. Oh my gosh. Okay. And, well, we had a little bit of a fail. So that part doesn't get included in the ball.
Oh no.
Goes in the trash and we'll never forget it. Okay, so now, next thing, the fun part here, we take our mini and we say, all right, PLA, what color is the main color? We'll just say that we'll represent it with white. This is the silk part. And it's not white, obviously we know that, but we're gonna say it's white. So now we go into here. Spot number 4 is teal. So we'll try to represent that with a fairly accurate teal. And so we'll just start sending it. Bam, 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 pew, 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 pew. And then we're going to go to Smart Fill. Oops, go to Extruder 2. Increase this up a little bit. And now that, everything that's white will be the silk filament. Now we go to Smart Fill and we start filling in the letters. And we're going to put let's do them all in purple. Sometimes I'll do the heart in a different color, but I don't know what color. And you know what? We're going to do that. We're going to put the heart as teal. That's what we're going to do today. There we go. And now we'll just continue to, oops. Here's the fun part. I like to do stuff like this and start to fill in different parts of the gears. And then bucket fill, and the last part is filling in the lion heart. And then we go to the bottom
Just
side.
appears out of nowhere.
Yeah, and that's what's so cool about this is that, you know, it really does. Oh, by the way, before I fill in anymore, I always think it's funny when I fill this in upside down because this looks like a dude who's just dancing with like a big headdress on. You see what I'm saying? He's got big, comically large feet. So anyone who has one of my minis, you'll never see it the same. This is like pretty much a pretty normal beginning of my day. They vary in the amount of time based on numbers of colors, numbers of color changes, and all sorts of things. By me changing that color here, this purple to this teal here, I add quite a bit of extra time. But I really like the look that comes with it, so I sacrifice that time. But yeah, I mean, I usually run 6 at a time. So most of the minis that people get, unless it's like one of my really popular ones, there's a good chance you're getting something that's just a 1 of 6. And a lot of times, all my prints don't come out right. And you might be getting a 1 of 5 or a 1 of 4. And that's why I have so many filaments, is I like to change it up. And so you're kind of always going to get something new with me. But I like the way this looks. So we're going to go ahead and run it. Yes, okay. So now we select the whole thing. We're going to fill 6 of them on the bed. Arrange that plate. Okay, we got 7.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
And then we hit slice. And so what the slice is doing is this is taking what I've painted, the object that I've painted, and it's now coming up with the entirety of where the extruder is going to go, when to change colors, which head it's going to take to put that correct extruder in the right place, and then build the print layer by layer until it's done. And I think these are 55 layers or so. But this one, we're going to see how much time it takes. My guess is it's going to take anywhere from 15 to 16 hours for 6 of them. So that kind of gives you a better idea of the amount of time. Now, I have gotten my prints down sometimes to about 12 hours for 6 of them. And so that's really good. If I can get the prints at 2 hours a piece, that's wonderful, but I don't always get that. And when I can do that, obviously I'm going to be awake for that time, so I can get a print started in the morning, change it at night, have it printing while I'm sleeping, and then repeat that process. All right, so the file is sliced, and for those who haven't really ever seen how 3D printing works before, I'm going to go down layer by layer to show you how this works. So this is top layer, and essentially we'll go from bottom up. So that's first layer. So that's how it does it. This is the initial layer. It sets the foundation, and it just grows layer by layer. And you can see when the white is introduced, that's bringing in the new color. And it just goes up from there. And this is essentially like a time lapse in super fast motion of what it looks like to make one of these minis. And this one in particular is going to take 18 hours and 41 minutes for just 6 minis. So it's not necessarily the fastest thing in the world, but it is pretty freaking cool. But yeah, there you go. That's 3D printing for you. This is where I spend a good portion of my day coming up with the next projects that I'm going to be doing. And yeah, this is kind of like, even when I'm home, this feels like I'm really home when I'm in this room. And yeah, I got to give a shout out real quick to Bob Morey, who painted our late great Jackson as an astronaut. He put the Hot Dog Bandit patch on there, which is just amazing. And the 22 logo, that's like kind of the family emblem for Jules and I. Yeah, he just did this out of the kindness of his heart, man. Pretty special painting. This is always here with me. Well, I'll talk you through it real quick.
Okay.
So right now, it'll tell you what it's doing. So it says it's absorbing heat. That I don't know what that really means, but what it's going to do before it starts, honestly, absorbing heat. All right, I believe you. What it's really doing right now is it is going to do a little test where it calibrates a little bit, and it also does a bed leveling. Very important that the bed is leveled. It always is. It's got strong magnets. It holds the plate flat, but it'll do the leveling where it's like 36 points where it'll do a little calibration and just make sure everything's good and hunky-dory. And then once that's done, it will purge a little bit of the filament. And then after it does that, it's time for it to start printing.
Wow.
Is there a way to like just save that setting? So what happened here, I was so excited to get these off the print bed that before letting the plate cool, which is typically what happens by me just not being here the moment the print ends and the plate naturally cooling, is that when I tried to break the minis off the plate, and this is something that I know, I was excited to do this on camera. There's some chemical things that are happening with it cooling naturally. And when you don't give the plate time to cool naturally and you try to remove the plastic that's super hot still off of it, it stretches and then it bonds in a different way. And so that happened with this plate, and I ended up getting one of them off, kind of. So, you know what? It spins in a whole new way from the rest of them. And I'll sell this one to you guys for, no, this thing's going straight in the trash. But we're gonna let these things cool naturally and see if I can remove them so this isn't just a completely wasted plate. But the reason why this is a really good thing to happen is that in the life of a 3D printer, mistakes and waste happen. Like, that is just a part of it. Like, waste is a big part of 3D printing, and unfortunately plastic waste is part of that commitment. And one of those things that happens is you just know it's going to happen. And I don't like that because I don't like to waste plastic. I think plastic is kind of sketchy already, but I've kind of committed my life to plastics being a disc golfer. And so I'm just trying to minimize waste as much as possible. So if these don't get removed properly and these are wasted, I'm going to feel really sad about it, but it'll also be something that I can learn from and hopefully won't do that stupid thing ever again. Oh yeah, so they're printing the gears, and let's get some light for you. So, and sometimes I'll go on here and be like, hey, you're not supposed to be on there. I wouldn't recommend this to everyone, but I can see that the extruder's on the other side of the print bed, and so remove some of the things that aren't necessary, and then there we go. But this is looking good. The main thing in 3D printing that you're always looking out for is first layer adhesion. If the first layer gets laid down properly, you're normally set. There's still some things that can happen along the way, but for the most part, if that first layer has good adhesion and you don't remove the bed before you're supposed to, like a total dummy, like a total noob, then you should have a good product. I started playing WingSpan in the summer of 2021, specifically in Utah at the World Championships that James Conrad won. And when I started playing, it was basically because Nate Sexton and Paul Ulibarri and myself walked into a game store. The box art for the original game, this is the nesting box, which is not the original game, is an image of a scissor-tailed flycatcher. It was beautiful, striking, it caught my attention. I did some reviews in the game store, talked to the guy that ran the shop, and he said, this is an amazing game. Come to find out later on that it was Elizabeth Hargrave's first ever game design. And she actually won the Gamers Award for Gamer of the Year, which is kind of like the Super Bowl of gaming prizes, or tabletop gaming awards that you can win. And for someone to come out and just that being their first game and making such a classic like Wingspan was a huge nod to her vision and bringing birds and birding into tabletop gaming. And so I want to show you this set here. Like I said, this is the nesting box. This is an expansion in itself. Just the box holds the base game plus the 4 expansions that have come out, which have been Europe, Oceania, Asia, and most recently South America. This game is not going to look like the game that you would buy from the stores, and that's not to say that the game that you'd buy from the stores it's amazing. It holds its own weight, but because I enjoyed that so much, I decided to take the entire experience to the next level. And so did I go over the top? Yes. But do I regret any of it? Not at all. To me, it really adds a level of customization to the game that makes it feel very one-off. When you play with my set, I think you know you're playing with a set that somebody took a lot of time and attention and care to detail into. And I got a 3D printer because my buddy Egan Tolkuchi up in, Egan, in Massachusetts, he had a 3D printer. He lured me into his home by showing me his tabletop gaming room, and he had floor to ceiling 5 shelves just massively packed with games. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to this guy's house. And when I got there, while he was showing me the house, he had a 3D printer. And I was kind of like fringe into the idea of getting a 3D printer. But that week we decided to make a resource housing box for a game called Scythe, also made by Stonemaier Games, which makes Wingspan. The process of designing it with him on the computer and then prototyping different pieces until we finally got what we ultimately ended up designing was so rewarding that Maple Hills at the end of the year, I'm back home in like a couple of weeks. The very first thing I did was I went online and I bought a Prusa Mark III, and I got it and I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew that I wanted to design my own components. So the reason that this is the way it is because of Egan's influence on me, and then just taking it from there and kind of finding any sort of like part of the game that could have a component additive or a little bit more customized component or this, that, or the other. And the things that I couldn't print, I bought to just fill in the gaps. So anyways, without further ado.
We can thank Wingspan for the minis.
And we can. And board gaming brought the minis, and Egan brought my interest to 3D printing. So yeah, a lot of this definitely goes back to him.
Very cool.
Showing you parts of the game. So this is the round end gold tile. It's really nothing too special here. It's got this gold back with a little Wingspan graphic. It's just it's a piece of it's a nice feeling cardboard paper, but like if I'm gonna reprint everything, might as well reprint everything. What goes in there are these round end gold tiles, and most of these are cut from wood and dyed, and the other ones, like this one right here, I actually 3D printed because the guy on Etsy that made the original ones doesn't make these anymore. So I kind of made these to match the original one as much as possible. But the look and feel of these wooden ones was too nice to try to 3D print the whole thing. So I really like that. So that's the round end gold tiles. We'll start there. This is totally unnecessary. This is like when I think about going over the top for no reason. A box with hidden magnets with a soft close for just your scorecards is over the top. This is unnecessary. I didn't need to spend the amount of time I did designing this, but I did, and it's awesome. So just let's be clear about it. I think what I did was cool, but I even created this little bird graphic that you'll see again in some other places. But yeah, this just holds the scorecards. It doesn't need to be over-engineered, but that's going to be a common theme going through the rest of this. We're going to talk about the South America expansion in just a little bit, because this comes with some really neat 3D print things that solve solutions in a way I've not seen anywhere online. And let me tell you, I'm very excited about it. I think I could genuinely stay home from tour and just do a business of selling those online, and I would do okay, because I think a lot of people have the same problems that I had, and I solved those problems. Next thing is the card tray. So when you play Wingspan, there are going to be 3 cards exposed that players can draw from, or you can just draw a random card from the deck. Well, the original card tray was just a piece of plastic where you sit the 3 cards down. Did it work? Absolutely it worked. It was fine. But that's not quite good enough for me. So I originally printed this thing, which holds 3 cards, and I'll show you that in a second. Here, let's go ahead and get 3 cards out. So it holds 3 cards like so, and it holds them 10 millimeters deep, which covers up the part of the card here, which has interesting facts about the birds, which I like that part of the card, but really what you need to know is the brown part, which tells you what the card can do. Now this is something that you can easily pass around the table, and again, is customized with a colorway that I really like. It's very South America. I don't know. It's just neat. Well, I used this for a while, and then I realized we'd always been talking about making a lazy Susan for it. So I designed this, slots into the back of it. There's like a couple of notches right here, and this slots into there. And now you have yourself a stationary lazy Susan for the card tray. You need eggs to play the game, so I printed this little box here with a little egg hold, and again, hidden magnets to hold the golden eggs. Are you getting the reflective surface on this thing?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's like a print bed that gives a little holographic design. Over-engineered? Yes. But
We've covered that already.
We've already covered that.
You made it this far. You know what it is.
You know what the deal is. These right here, we'll just go ahead and get past this. This is just a way of getting all the cards into the game. And I'll tell you what, without these card shoes, there's no way I could use all the cards from the base game, the 4 expansions, and the fan packs without this. This holds a lot of cards. There's over 500 cards that you can use for the game. And yeah, so this thing is super clutch. I actually did not design this file. It was something I found online. It was perfect. No need to redesign what's already perfect. So we'll just go from there. Okay, the base game itself, let's see if I actually have the cubes. I don't have the cubes because that doesn't serve me. But when you take an action in the game of Wingspan, you have these little wooden cubes. And do they work? Absolutely they work, but we're playing Wingspan here. We're playing with birds, we're creating an aviary. We're not just gonna play with cubes, we're gonna play with birds. So I created this box here to hold 4 rows of 5 birds each of different bird avatars that you can use when you play Wingspan. Now, to keep this thing from opening, there's a soft close magnet on the back of each one of these boxes. This one's just stuck right there. So I can confidently hold it upside down and it doesn't spill out, which is really nice. This right here alone adds such a dynamic to the game. The only thing that this thing takes away is a place for me to put a bird feeder. But I always just bring my bird feeder separately because this thing ain't gonna fit in the box no matter what. This was one of the first things that I customized for the game. So the game comes with a cardboard bird feeder that you can put together, and it holds up pretty well for a while, and eventually, as you really start to play more and more, the cardboard starts to wear down in certain places, and you gotta figure out a different way to have a dice tower. I found this on Tower Rex. It just came in clear pine, and then I dyed it this dark cherry, and then I cut out these golden vinyl panels to give it a golden roof, and then I used paint pen to paint all the details in here, which includes each and every little nail. And then I added some moss. I created a little Wingspan stencil, and the dice are hidden in this little barn door. And watch the dragonfly, if you will. When you get the dice in the actual tower, it dances. There's a little paddle that passes by. So that's the bird feeder, and this provides the food that you need for the game. Each card requires food to play the bird, and so you first get the action of gaining food to get food from the bird feeder, then you pay for the food to play the bird onto your mat. Well, when you're done with the food, after you take it from the bird feeder, you got to put somewhere, and they always have this place put the food outside the dice, or outside the dice tower. I decided to create this component called the compost bin, and it's even got like little handles like a compost bin might have. And so this is now where you put the dice outside the bird feeder. So this is something that I hadn't seen anywhere else online, and I really like this little extra component. This is just a niche-y little thing that I think really lends itself to the idea of the at-home bird feeder. Here is the bonus card box. This is just for bonus cards with a cool little kingfisher graphic there. And so you got a place for the cards, the discards that go as well down here. Simple little box, but just a cool little place to keep all the bonus cards. And here is a very similar design for the new hummingbird cards, which are introduced in the South America expansion. And so these go in here, and the little pieces that you need for the hummingbird track slide into this area here, and there you go. You have the hummingbird box. Oh boy. Which will be redesigned because I don't think things are secure there. Here's another component that I invented kind of as solving a problem. That being said, no one really ever uses these. I think they're cool. These are little credit card size cards that are replacement for different numbers of tucked cards. So if you have a denominations of 5 tucked cards, you can take those tucked cards, remove them from underneath the bird. And what I mean by that is when you start playing the game, this card right here says that you can tuck a card underneath it. And over time, if you do this activation a lot, that pile starts to get kind of crazy. And with sleeved cards, they can start to kind of move and slide, and maybe you don't want that big pile of cards underneath. So maybe you just take a denomination of 10 and you replace 10 cards with this, and you just put this underneath it, and that counts as 10 points at the end of the game. What this really ultimately serves as, the most useful thing, is a really fun fidget, because of course I included magnets, and so they hold together nicely, and there's a really nice hand feel when you start moving around. So that's basically the main purpose for that. How you determine first player is up to you, but whoever is starting each of the 4 rounds will have a little piece in front of them that denotes whose turn it is first. And for this, we have the gala, or the gala. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it, but this was printed by one of Jomez's own, Craig Stenzel. And it's crazy. Someone else printed something for me, but this is printed with a completely different type of 3D printing. And he painted it, and he added the moss afterwards, and it is just one of the coolest things ever. The gala is one of my favorite birds in the game. It's a very strong activation, but also its interesting fact is that a noisy idiot might be called a gala after these gregarious, playful birds. First time we saw that fact, we were playing the 2021 Worlds, and Nate Sexton saw that card and he said, "Oh, like Jerm." So basically calling me a noisy idiot. So thank you, Nate. You gave me my favorite bird in the game, and we commemorated that forever with Gary the Gala. And finally, the thing that I've most recently done is created these player trays. And the player trays, I created 8 of them. Yes, 8. 8 player trays. And these ones, I had an original player tray that was good, and then I upgraded it to what I think is really good. And so what we have now is, on the bottom, we've got Barrow's Goldeneye, using the font that they use in the game of Wingspan, and the Latin name. And then we have an actual Barrow's Goldeneye, indicated with all the different food types that I designed, which reminded me, I have not showed you everything. We'll show you the player trays, and then we'll show you the last thing. But the player trays are meant to hold your cards, your action pieces. So these guys, you'll have 8 of them to start the game. They'll all go in here. And then you'll have your food that you pay for the food cost of the bird. And so I created 8 of these. So we've got the peregrine falcon, the northern cardinal. This is the ruby-throated? Yeah, the ruby-throated hummingbird. This one's really neat. This one has a color-changing silk filament on the outside edge. This one goes to my wife. No one else gets to play with this one. We've got the Carolina chickadee, a bird that I think I can hear in my backyard right now as we're doing this. We've got the common kingfisher. Kingfishers are one of my favorite birds. And the final two, we've got the snowy owl, and finally the osprey. I actually really like the way the osprey came together. Each one, I spent a lot of time trying to come up with the best colorway for each tray. And of course, once again, they have the hidden magnets. Very satisfying sound. Why there's magnets? I don't know. There really doesn't need to be magnets. It doesn't really do much other than just magnet. This is the actual last thing I want to show you here. And I don't know if you can read this or not, but it says Gregarious Playful Birds right here on the side as a nod to the gala. And I just thought it was a cool motto for the game. Gregarious Playful Birds. That's what these things are. That's what birds are in general for me. I did not know how much I cared about birds until I started playing this game. And that has opened up a new hobby for me that we're going to get into a little bit later. But WingSpan. Okay. There's 5 main types of food in the game. You've got invertebrates, seed, fruit, fish, and rodents. And what I could have done is I could have just designed one type of food for each. But
no.
That's not how I do things, as we've discussed. So we've got 2 essential main designs for invertebrates. Just 2 little types of worms. And I think they're both very lovely. And within each type of worm, there is multiple different colorways of each. So there's not just one type of invertebrate. Each type of food has many different options. The game has the seed, right? And birds don't just eat wheat, they eat seed of all different types. So I decided to introduce the sesame seed, a very common food type of birds in this area, at least the backyard birds that I'm familiar with. And you're not going to see this on any of the cards' food costs. You're not going to see a sunflower seed, but it serves the purpose as the seed. The fruit, we've got 2 different designs, and essentially we've got the idea of like a grape type fruit, a blueberry, a cherry, and a raspberry. Just ideas. Honestly, most birds don't eat those fruits, although they might. They're going to eat like smaller, like little red berries off of trees, which I guess maybe that's what this is. But yeah, we're having fun, folks. That's all we're doing here is we're having fun. Fish, the same thing. Couple different designs of the fish. We've got like the classic goldfish looking style, and then this like floppy fish here, which I think is really fun. And then rodents. We did 1 rodent face and 1 rodent body. And again, a couple different types here. And then what really got crazy was when I decided to do the nectars. So we've got actually 6 different designs of nectars, because nectar is a really important food type in the game, and I can't find them all right now off the top of my head. But 6 different types of nectar, and again, a ton of different colorways, just to keep it different and fun. These little standing up tokens are replacements of denominations of 5. So one of the things that you might do in the game is cash food on a card, or you're paying for nectar. You put that nectar on the side of your board. Once you have 5 of them, you can replace the 5 nectars with a denomination of 5, and then you can return that food back to the game. That way you're never running out of food. And then yeah, just the storage for the speckled eggs. These of course are aftermarket. Everything's aftermarket. The only thing in the game that's actually still base game are the cards themselves, which I could replace with fan art cards, but I kind of like the aesthetic of the original. And there's only one other thing, and that's the dice. And I am currently looking at finding someone who does resin and doing something really special for the dice, because that's a big part of the game. But other than that, there's not a single part of this game, besides the cards and the dice, that you would get from buying the actual game and the expansions. All this stuff is just extra stuff that I've kind of come up with. I haven't mentioned it yet, but I'm actually sponsored by WingSpan. The owner of the company that produces the game is Stonemeyer, as I mentioned earlier. And Jamie Stegmeyer is a disc golf hobbyist. him and his partner play disc golf often. It's one of the things they like to do to kind of get away from board gaming, and it's just a way to get back out into nature. And after I had found Scythe and started playing Scythe and playing Wingspan, I reached out to Jamie after finding out he was a disc golfer, and I said, hey man, huge fan of everything you do at Stonemaier Games. Just wanted you to know thank you very much for everything you've done, so on and so forth. And he messaged me back, said, man, you don't have to introduce yourself. Like, Jomez got me through COVID, essentially. That's when he was a COVID disc golfer. And so we just kind of began a friendship through there. And over the course of these last 5 years, I've probably introduced Wingspan to hundreds of people personally, and through that tree branching out, the people that they've introduced the game, I would say there's, I don't know, conservatively thousands of new players of Wingspan because of my passion for this game. And when describing that to Jamie, I said, hey man, we should maybe connect, and like we can do like cross hobby promotion and promote disc golf through board gaming and board gaming through disc golf. And he thought it was a great idea. And so we actually just re-upped our sponsorship for a 2-year deal. So we did last year, we got another 2 years together, and I'm just super pumped about it because obviously you can see the passion I have for the product. But also just Jamie is such a good dude that like I would do anything to be connected with things that he's a part of, because he's just a solid human being. And that's like the first thing for me when I'm thinking about who I want to represent. The people behind the product is number one for me. Their goal and what they want to move forward with the business, very close to being the number one priority. And so that was a no-brainer with Stonemaier and Wingspan and all that. The last thing that I have to show for the game, these are the Hummingbird tracks. And so it comes just like this. And you know, Stonemaier is actually known for good components. So it's one of the things that they've been using the same company, I believe it's called Panda, for years and years and years. And even through potential tariff issues, Stonemaier said, we are gonna stick with this company because they kill it. And they make great stuff. Thing is, even if you make good stuff, you can still make it better.
3D printed and just
make it a little bit better. So originally, it just comes like this. In those little pieces that I was telling you about earlier, these go kind of small, some nimble fingers. It goes on here, and you can see just like that, it slides. And you go up the track throughout the course of the game. Well, if anything bumps or moves or somebody's angry and flips the table over, what are you gonna do? Well, you create something like this, and you create a little track for this to go into. And, oh, that's so satisfying. It holds it perfectly, and it's dual-sided. Now, this original idea was something that I saw online. I downloaded it, I printed it, I was looking forward to using it, but what I printed was just single-sided. And so there's no way to just like flip that over and make it work and glue it together. You have to completely redesign the entire thing. So that's what I did. I took that as a blueprint, but then I recreated the entire thing. I added this little hummingbird graphic, the word hummingbird track here, and then I created grooves on the front side and back side to make sure that it would lock into place and I could glue it together so it would create this perfectly fitting tray. And it's snug too. It's perfectly fit, so it just slides right in there every time. And that is the entirety of the Wingspan collection. If somebody has spent more time on their own personal set, we need to meet up. I want to see what you've done, because I'm sure if you've taken as much time and pride and effort into rethinking every single component, that you're going to come up with some really creative things that I haven't thought of, and I'd love to see what you've done. But if anyone is trying to play Wingspan, the answer for me is yes, I'm always down. It's like I said, it's my favorite game, and I am always open to a game if I've got an hour and a half of time. Well, it wasn't an overnight thing. Playing Wingspan got me fascinated with looking up and trying to, what bird is that? You know, like I want to know. And I want to know because I had no real idea of the variety that was just surrounding me every day. And I don't know, just getting older, you just get interested in birds. I think it's just kind of a coming of age story for so many people. For me, it was just like, yeah, I'm really fascinated with this all of a sudden. And it really kind of took off starting in 2021 was when I really started to like, okay, birds are really, really cool. Hey, Flyer. And then it really went crazy last year when Jules and I went to Yellowstone Park for the first time. And we were looking at wildlife, just the most incredible wildlife everywhere. And I was out there just with my phone, just zooming in with my fingers and taking these pictures of, the bison and the grizzly bears and golden eagles and the, this, that, and the other with my phone. And people are out there with their mirrorless cameras and their spotting scopes and their binoculars. And I didn't have any of that stuff. And that's something that I'm very lucky to be able to travel so much and go to these beautiful places that have all sorts of different range of wildlife. And why don't I get closer? So I started doing research, and I decided to go ahead and get a pair of binoculars that allowed me to see birds up close for the first time ever. And I fell in love with that. And so that was my very first big investment into actual birding as a hobbyist. And then just a few weeks ago, actually, Jules had said that, we wanted to get maternity photos for her, and we were looking at the cost of hiring a photographer to drive out to Asheville and go hike to this waterfalls. And just for their time alone, we're probably spending a couple of grand just in drive time and hiking, and that's before we even get to the actual photography. And I've always had a keen eye for composition, and so I figured, we kind of came to the idea together. Maybe it was even Jules' idea. Why don't you just get...
Just
I'm not
take
sure
a step inside the 3D
I'm not sure if you
printing
heard
room
that,
to see
but
how far down rabbit holes this man goes.
Exactly. I didn't realize I was going to have two different lenses.
I won't accept that. The thing is, my wife knows that I don't half-ass anything. As Nate Sexton has famously said, I'm a full-asser all the way through. And I go hardcore into my hobbies. And I've wanted a camera for years. I've wanted a nice camera for years. I just needed justification. I needed the timing to work out. I needed the money. That part maybe is suspect, but the other parts, the timing made sense. The taking pictures of my wife in this one time of her life that she'll be pregnant and she's glowing right now and trying to capture that. I needed a nice camera to do that. And so I could either buy some hobbyist, whatever $100 camera, or I could get something nice that I was going to have for the rest of, maybe the rest of my life. We'll see. I decided to go the second option. And after buying the original lens, I realized that I probably needed two specialized lenses. And so I have a 24 to 120 S lens from Nikon. And this is their 180 to 600. And this just allows me to get closer to the birds and to take some really good pictures from far away. Because it turns out birds and wildlife don't like you getting all that close to them. So you need a big lens with a lot of zoom capacity and capability. And so that's what I got here. And we've got bird feeders set up all around the backyard. And so we've got everything from cardinals to chickadees to northern mockingbirds to Carolina wrens to mourning doves. That's the main thing. We also have some red-shouldered hawks that come around here, some crows, pretty typical stuff around here. But I just like taking pictures of them. The birds have been, we got one on the feeder here. What do we got? What do we got here? Hard to tell actually right now. It's so bright. He's on the back side of the feeder.
Oh yeah.
All right, we got a little song sparrow. Hey, buddy. Let's zoom in here. How sharp did we get it? Oh yeah, that's a nice one. All right, guys, it's Big Jerm. We are here in uptown Charlotte, North Carolina, at one of my favorite spots here. This is a classic burger grill called Pinky's. The location that we're about to go into is the place where Jules and I had our very first ever date. And so it's very special to us for obvious reasons, but it's also just outside the heart of uptown Charlotte. So when we're in this area and we're looking for a good place to grab some quick food, some nostalgic food, some greasy stuff, but good stuff, we come to Pinky's West Side Grill, and yeah, let's go inside and take a look. I mean, just the environment here, it's just, this is what I'm looking for. I'm always looking for divey spots in every place I go, and this is like a little bit up from divey. You know, it's hard to know what you're gonna get when the place is known for their corn dogs. Like, it's not just corn dogs, but their burgers are so good. But like, the skrimpz, boy, I usually always get the skrimpz, and it is spelled with a K and a Z, so I am saying that correctly. I think if you got skrimpz and fried pickles as an appetizer to share with the table, and then ended up going with their pimento cheeseburger, I think you've had yourself a pretty authentic and amazing Pinky's experience. What say you?
Yeah, I feel like also you can't go wrong with the fish tacos. That was like one of the things that I used to get.
Do you remember what you guys got on your first day?
Oh yeah.
Well, I was vegan at the time, so I got the veggie burger, and in solidarity of my veganism, he too also ordered the vegan burger, which I thought was
Green flag.
a great flag. Probably not gonna want all that food, but yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, have you ever seen me? I'm a gigantic human being. I'll put it down.
What are we going with?
All right, so we're gonna do a little smorgasbord.
We're going out of our norm, I feel like.
Yeah. We're probably gonna do a burger, and we're gonna get a couple of dogs, and then we're just gonna kind of eat off of it, kind of tapas style. And then I think we're gonna do some apps as well. The crab puppies. I've never had their crab puppies or taquitos. I have had their pickles and the skrimpz.
I'm pretty sure you have had their crab puppies.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't think I've had that. Let's try some new things here. What would you get? You gotta get the skrimpz though. The skrimpz are so good.
Get the skrimpz.
All right, skrimpz we're gonna get. Taquitos.
Yeah, I've never had the taquitos.
Today we get taquitos and skrimpz. You know what? We'll do one more. We'll try the pimento cheese wontons. I've never had it before. Right? We're all splitting it? Yeah, let's try this pimento cheese wontons. That's what we're doing. We're gonna do the Asian pork burger. And we'll also do the Reuben dog and the El Santo.
Reuben and El Santo, perfect.
First time having hot dogs here. All right, the pimento wontons just came out. Everyone knows the rules. One bite. See the cheese dripping. The dip is dipping.
Probably hot. Oh!
That was close.
Yeah, it was.
That is pimento cheese melted into a wonton shell is what that is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is it hot?
It's not, you can eat it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to burn my tongue.
Yeah, the sweet sauce is nice. Pimento cheese is just a classic southern staple. Wontons, pretty sure those originated in Raleigh, North Carolina. No, I love wonton nachos, especially with like tuna wonton nachos. Oh my god, it's like one of my favorite things in the world. What we got here?
Skrimpz right here.
Ah, the skrimpz. The much talked about and anticipated skrimpz.
Sorry about that.
Got it? Got it?
Taquitos right over here.
Amazing.
Taquitos.
Thank
Enjoy.
you.
Thank you.
Going in for
I was not expecting the taquito plate to be a full-on entree. Dude, their shrimp is so, I'm sorry, their scrimp is so good.
Guessing it doesn't have a tail on it, right?
We'll find out later. I think I've only had taquitos
from like the microwavable Jose Olay.
7-Eleven.
Like these are only like 7-Eleven or microwavable. I've never had like a proper taquito from like a Mexican restaurant. It's just not where I venture on the menu. So I'm excited to actually have like
quesadillas or like fajitas.
yeah, right. I'm gonna go for the classics. But I guess the taquito is kind of a classic.
Yeah.
And now today we venture into new horizons,
Taquito.
and it's really nice, especially with the nice avocado and the sour cream and the crumbled cheese on top. That guy's jealous. You hear that honking? He knows what I'm sinking my teeth into here.
Oh yeah. Whoa, Joey. Nice burger choice, bro. Thank you. Yep. El Santo. I don't practice El Santeria. I ain't got no crystal ball. But this corn dog has Fritos on it and just about everything else. So that's gonna be good. Cutting it down the middle, which we have a system, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. She cuts, I pick.
I don't agree with this.
You would like to be the chooser?
Would you rather be the I mean, I could cut, but it's whoever cuts, the other person picks. But she doesn't like that, and like that rule's kind of
I
gone.
try to get in the middle every time, but sometimes I fail. But I think that was pretty down the middle.
Honestly, we got two options here. Let's go ahead and let's analyze this. We got the flat side over here, which could throw you off if you're bun heavy on your pick. This might look like the obvious pick right now. However, this side could be more dense. And that's what we're going for here. We're going for density of burger. I'm gonna go for the sure thing. I'm gonna pick this left side. I think Jules might have come out with the better side here, but either way, I'm gonna cheers her as we do. This is what we do with our food.
I don't know, I think it was pretty equal.
Yours is pouring out the sides, love.
It's just
You won.
small.
You won this.
It's
You won
just
this
the
one.
small pouring out here. Here's the more salt over here.
No, we're good. Everyone knows the rules. One bite.
Actually, I was making the point.
Oh. Good call.
Because, you know, they both people.
That's good. I would have never ordered
I
this.
wasn't sure because it doesn't have cheese on it, and I don't know why I was feeling. I don't know. Yeah.
She had tossed around the idea of adding cheese to an Asian burger, and I promptly reminded her that cheese does not go in Asian food. That is just not.
And it's good
Those
without the
two roads do not cross.
But I also accepted it because there was cheese on the hot dog.
This might be what I get as far as burgers
It's
go.
really tasty though.
Not like your traditional burger chuck,
Yeah.
but I don't care. It's great. We're good? All right. Jules has told me it's my turn to cut, so we're going to try the Reuben dog. I did consider cutting it long ways just to ruin everyone's day, but I think we're going to go traditional horizontal. All right. I don't know if the hand influences your decision, grabbing one side of it and squishing it, but it looks like it did influence her decision. Cheers. All right, so we got sauerkraut, we got
Mustard and
Brown
Thousand
mustard.
Island.
and Thousand Island dressing. All right, here we go. Cheers.
It's like I'm like doing some of the things that I probably should have done in the 20s.
Oh yeah, and cheese.
I think Swiss cheese.
So,
Once you get those things clear, it helps
it's awesome.
to solidify
The sauerkraut is like satiating my sour pickle need for this pregnancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer for you. I mean, this is good. I love a good Reuben.
I don't usually like hot dogs. So
Yeah.
it's
I'm
not-
a
it's
I'm a
not
brat
my-
guy.
It's not my typical like order or go-to. But I saw a guy in there eating a hot dog that looked really good, and I was like, I think I might have to get one.
And we're in the spot for hot dogs. I mean, if you're gonna get a hot dog anywhere in Charlotte,
Yeah. I use Nathan's hot dogs.
okay. Would I swap the Nathan's hot dog for a brat? I would. because I'm a brat guy. I love a good hot dog. I love a good hot dog.
I agree.
I'm not denouncing a hot dog. I prefer brat. It's a bigger commitment, no
How
question.
bad of the-
A bad brat beats a Nathan's hot dog, to me. Like a bad brat. Like I just
I'm on the
love.
same boat as you.
I love the brat texture. I love the brat flavor. I love. I don't know if I can use this word on coverage, or coverage. I don't know if I can use this word on YouTube, but I like the brat girth. Do we have to blur? Do we have to blur that word out? Do we have to- okay. All right. Jules. That's the way. She always
And the baby.
and the baby. Jules always gets prime bite. If you're not familiar with prime bite, you know what it is. When you already did all the hard work to get to the center of the donut, and that middle piece is just the perfect amount of little tiny bit of donut and all the custard right there, beautifully just stored up, ready to go. That's when Jules comes in from out of state. She was out of state. We weren't even in the same state. And there she comes barging through the door. Hey, sweetheart. Oh, you got a Boston cream pie. Oh. Can I try that? And you're sitting there like, I was about to take a bite. The prime bite. And she's like, no, I'll take that now. And that's when she comes in, and I'm left with the other parts.
It's not my fault that I happen to have perfect timing.
It's okay. It's okay. I don't know where you came from. I don't know how. She's got a private jet set to prime bite. Anyways, you got to appreciate a company like Uncle Scott's, who I've never heard of before, that's going to use Comic Sans as the typography for their labeling. I mean, that is bold. They're either a comical company, and they take pride in just everything's loosey-goosey. Who cares what goes on within these companies? Or they seriously think that Comic Sans is a quality font, in which case,
There might be a bunch of silly gooses that work there.
or it could be a bunch of silly gooses. This is nearly a two-handed hot dog. We got Fritos, we got jalapenos, we got chili, we got sour cream, we got Nathan's hot dog,
And there's no cut this time.
and we got an eager mouth.
No
Right
cut,
into the gym.
No cut in half.
No cutting out. We're not splitting this one.
Oh, so we've out-eaten the competition, is what we're saying.
The only thing that's slowing me down,
Yeah.
the sour cream is everywhere. There's just this beard that's getting wider by the day is about to get a lot whiter with sour cream, I fear.
Yeah.
But it's time to attack the
This
food.
one looks a little smaller.
Nope.
and
I've already
also less creamier, but-
already
Okay.
established grip.
Okay.
It's an upright 45. It's an optimal angle
Yeah.
for hot dog consumption.
Funny because the government is what you
Oh,
really
yeah.
I think you did well. You did well.
Expert chewer right there.
It's also that big mouth of yours.
Unnecessary. Felt a little bit like a dig, less than a compliment, more of a dig.
How else do you get to project your voice so loudly, you know? Like, it's not because it's small mouth, you know?
You open that mouth
Yeah.
and you let the sound come out. Who cares if it makes sense?
That's why I can hear you, like, when we're on hold. Whatever.
As far as talking about the actual dog here, which is what we're here to do maybe, when you order a dog with
And how great
Fritos,
OTB is.
yeah, sure. OTB is a great company that is run by people
That are even greater.
that I would call incredibly close to outrageously close to where our heart is. Danny, Aaron, the rest of the crew there, quality people.
Danny's mom.
Probably the best traveled mother in the sport of disc golf at this point.
Totally.
She just pops up internationally. Saw her in New Orleans. She didn't even know she was going to New Orleans. She's just there. She gave me a hug to give to Jules. I gave Jules the hug. Jules then gave me a hug to give back, and I haven't seen her yet. That was a week ago. I'm surprised that she's not here in Charlotte. Second bite.
Wow, still clean on the face. That's really
How is it?
impressive.
If you were to order a hot dog that had Fritos, chili, jalapenos, and sour cream, I think if you imagine that flavor, that's what this embodies.
Pretty good. All right, let me try it.
All right, she's going for it.
I don't want any of the jalapeno.
Look at her fingers. I've been holding this thing for 5 minutes. She comes in 1 second
You
and
have
just.
the perfect handle of it. I don't want these jalapenos though. I'm not.
They're not spicy. There's no seeds.
I'm not about this.
These are peppers. These aren't even jalapenos. As I see a literal seed right here.
Yeah.
Okay. Whoops.
Now I'm afraid I'm gonna get sour cream all over my
You're gonna be fine. Just don't get it on your beard. I'm just kidding. You don't have a beard.
Australia's
Thanks, honey.
really following U.S. footsteps in a lot of ways.
That would not work at all.
They're like, yeah, back in time. It's still like,
What happened? This thing used to have integrity. There's toppings everywhere. What happened?
Engineering class.
Here,
Step all over.
Where's our points of failure?
give me this. Apparently, are everywhere. Look at the table. That's what I'm saying. Optimal 45-degree angle prevents this.
You had it. I couldn't even get a whole bite around and in my mouth.
While I demolish the rest of this,
Yeah.
give the people at home the backstory behind why we chose Pinkies and how did we get to decide that this was the first date we would ever have.
I guess because I was vegan at the time, and being a kind, conscious human, I know that not everyone is down for vegan food or open to vegan food. So choosing like an all-vegan restaurant wasn't probably the most polite or kind thing to do, especially on your first date. So I was like, what is a good place that has A, vegan options, B, has options that like are for everyone and is really good. And so I was like, oh, let's go to Pinky's. That'll be good. I can order a vegan burger and he can order whatever he wants off the menu. Everyone will be happy, and lo and behold, the man still ordered a vegan burger. So
We met in November 2018, and so November 2019, I did vegan the whole month.
yeah.
And I found by looking at labels, which is something that you're doing constantly if you're like identifying as vegan, milk is in everything. It's in
Powdered
everything.
milk is literally like
Everything. So it made it really difficult because obviously milk is not vegan. But I will say that month I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about what I like, and I like a lot of vegan food. We found a lot of restaurants that serve vegan food, and it was cool to go to new places for sure. Not my normal standby spots, and order things that aren't my normal standby orders. And I definitely found out a lot about my palate. Speaking of vegan, let me go back to this chili cheese hot dog. I don't think I could go vegan. I take back everything I said. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for our day. Thank you so much for tagging along with me in my home city. I hope you have a little bit of love and appreciation for the place I call home. That's going to do it for us here. So if you enjoyed the series, make sure you check out OTB's YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys next time.